was Brian Albert doing calling Brian Higgins at 2:22 in the morning?
Albert called Higgins?
Did you forget that Colin had been there?
Objection.
No, I'll allow it.
If anyone's going to know how to cover up a crime, it's Brian Albert.
Is there a reason that you left his name out?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll let him have it.
And what did Brian Higgins do when you got into a fighting stance?
Yes, after saying hi to everybody, I went to the bathroom.
She's just a slutty girl that's a drunk and a slut and a whore and cheating on John.
This is such a huge day tomorrow. When Brian Albert walks into that courtroom.
I can't wait. Like, he's the kingpin. He's the Don at the Ponderosa.
This is Karen Reed's legal team the night before they cross-examined Brian Albert. Let's watch.
Brian Albert is a Boston police officer. He's the person that was in charge, if you will, of that family and that crew, everybody that was out that night. He's the big guy on the block. Basically, I'm establishing him as the brains behind knowing...
If anyone's going to know how to cover up a crime, it's Brian Albert.
While that may be true, we learned on cross-examination of Brian Albert, he has no training and no idea how a criminal could potentially cover their tracks after they commit a crime.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Exactly.
Describe who the people are going from left to right.
Chris Albert, myself, John O'Keefe, and Tim Daly.
This is a very telling photo taken just weeks before Brian Higgins killed John O'Keefe. As you can see, you have Chris Albert and Brian Albert with their arms around John.
This was on January 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Your attention, sir, to the upper right-hand corner.
Check out this video. It appears that Brian Albert is talking either to Karen or to Hen McCabe, but clearly Karen is ignoring big old Brian Higgins.
Pause it. What does it appear you are doing as it relates to Miss Reed in this clip?
It appears that I'm talking at the table. I don't know if it's specifically to her.
In the first trial, because Karen Reed's legal team failed to see Brian Higgins actually threatening John O'Keefe, she was almost convicted of murder.
Stop. Did you or did you not have conversations with Karen Reed that night?
I do not recall having conversations with Karen Reed that night at all, no.
Did Brian Higgins say anything to you about John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walking in together at the waterfall?
No.
Did he say anything or give you any indication that he was upset about Karen Reed showing up with John O'Keefe?
No, he did not.
It appeared from your observations that John and Karen were getting along at the waterfall?
I didn't really notice, but I didn't notice anything was wrong.
Based upon Alan's lines of questioning, it's clear they never saw John O'Keefe being threatened by old Higgy Bear at the waterfall. What they were focusing on was any disputes between John and Karen and potentially any fighting stances being done between Brian Higgins and Brian Albert.
They appeared pleasant?
Yes.
Happy?
I don't know if they appeared happy. I didn't really notice.
They were interacting with others?
Yes.
You didn't notice any tension?
No.
No argument?
No.
No yelling or fighting?
Nope.
What kind of car did you have at the time?
Ford Edge.
Black?
Yes.
Did you drive that car home from the waterfall?
Yes.
Old Lucky Locker, the only honest person in Massachusetts, said that he saw a Ford Edge parked right in front of 34 Fairview between 3 and 3:15. However, he did say it was white, but he also said that he was colorblind.
Who rode with you?
My wife and my daughter.
What other cars were in the driveway when you got there?
I don't recall. Brian Higgins' Jeep was in the driveway backing up as we pulled in.
So kind of in your way?
Yes. I didn't want to block him in.
So you waited until he moved his Jeep out of the way?
Yes.
And then you pulled in?
Yes.
Where in the driveway did you pull in?
I believe I pulled to the left side of the driveway.
You would have been closest to the garage? Or was there a car between you and the garage?
I would have been closest to the left side walkway. I don't think there was a car in front of me, but I'm not 100%.
Mr. Albert, did you move that black Ford Edge at any point that night after you got home?
No.
Brian Higgins was the first person to actually physically get to the house. He got there before you, correct?
Yes.
Based upon surveillance footage, it's most likely Brian Higgins arrived at 12:06, and right behind them was Brian Albert in his Ford Edge at 12:07.
After Mr. Higgins moved out of your way, out of the driveway, where did he put that Jeep?
I don't know. I don't know where he parked.
Not knowing where Brian Higgins parked his girly Jeep is critical. We know that the House defendants colluded and lied under oath about certain things, in particular where Brian Higgins parked his girly Jeep. However, it's not clear why Brian Albert is not following the script with regard to the Jeep.
You wouldn't have gotten into the house until, what, 12:15?
I would put it more 10 past 12.
12:10 or so?
That would just be a guess.
Could have been 12:15.
Yeah, and it could have been 12:07.
Based upon cell phone records and Allie McCabe's Life 360 data, she arrived at approximately 12:10 a.m. right behind
Who
them.
was inside the house when you walked in?
My nephew Colin,
How are you?
my son Brian,
Brian Albert Jr.
and then he had two friends, female friends. I believe it's Sarah and Julie.
How you doing?
And your nephew, Colin. I will fuck you up and I will beat your ass. How old was he at the time?
17 or 18?
Describe him.
Young, white, preppy, wears Lacoste, dreamy eyes. How else can you describe him?
In what way?
Height, weight.
5'11", 175 pounds.
Big boy. Not a small kid. I will fuck you up.
Right.
Bigger than me. I will beat your ass. Significantly.
Yes.
Played football.
Yes.
Good at football.
Yes. Yes. After saying hi to everybody, I went to the bathroom.
When you came back downstairs from the bathroom, you no longer saw Colin.
Yes. Prior to going to the bathroom, Colin had said that he was getting picked up.
But you never saw him leave.
No,
You didn't see him leave the house, and you didn't see him get picked up by anybody.
I did not.
You didn't see a car outside waiting for him.
I didn't. No.
Isn't it true that at no point during that interview did you admit or mention that Colin Albert had been at the house that night?
I don't believe I did. No.
At no point during that interview did your wife, Nicole, in your presence, admit or mention that Colin Albert was in the house that night.
No.
Did you forget that Colin had been there?
No.
Is there a reason that you left his name out?
Because he wasn't there. He left when we got there. He wasn't there for the duration of the time that we had that night.
Except for the fact that you just testified that you never saw him leave.
Well, he said he was getting picked up, and then he was gone, so I assumed he left.
People say a lot of things, but you didn't see him leave.
Right, he was no longer in my house, so he left.
Well, you didn't search the house, did you?
No.
You later were interviewed by Trooper Michael Proctor.
C-U-N-T.
So don't spell it. These are your words, Trooper Proctor?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead and say them.
Cunt.
Colin's name was never mentioned then either.
No, because Colin wasn't at the house for the duration of the night.
Mr. Albert, the question that had been posed to you by several officers was, who did you see in your home when you got there, correct?
Objection.
No, I'll allow it.
I don't believe that's how it was asked, no. I testified multiple times that Colin was there when we arrived.
David Yannetti, Karen's sole attorney at the time, was tipped off by a private investigator that someone beat John O'Keefe in the house. He specifically said Brian Albert and his nephew. He never mentioned Brian Higgins, and that's why in the first trial we're concentrating so much on little Colin Albert, who had no involvement at all in the death of John O'Keefe.
Looks like myself and Brian Higgins.
It's now 11:47 and Karen has consistently ignored Higgy Bear. In response, Higgin did exactly what human male apes would do when they're trying to get a female ape's attention. They move around, they wrestle with other males. This is all a ploy to get her attention, and it never worked. And when you look closer, you see Higgy Bear turn to Karen after he's done wrestling with Brian Albert. And as you can see at the top right behind Nick the Greek, she's jumping around, acting as if she's having the best time of her life, all to avoid talking with Higgy Bear. And right on cue, our cuddly but violent Higgy Bear starts again to wrestle with Brian Albert. This is not done to prepare to fight. This is all done with the intent to get her attention.
Describe physically what you were doing in the video.
playing around, sort of getting in a boxing stance.
Otherwise known as a fighting stance, correct?
Yeah, for a second, yes.
And what did Brian Higgins do when you got into a fighting stance?
It looked like he was kind of doing the same thing. We were just being silly, fooling around, having fun.
Were you giving him advice on the proper way to get into a fighting stance or a boxing stance?
No.
Alan's going down the wrong path, asking the wrong questions. He's trying to elicit the fact that perhaps Brian Higgins and Brian Albert were training to fight John just 30 minutes later.
Are you giving him some advice or some indicators about how to best position himself if someone is taking an aggressive stance against him?
No.
Is he telling you what he thought was a good technique for fighting or boxing?
I don't think it was that serious. We were just playing, fooling around.
But both of you were in fighting stances facing off against each other, correct?
Yeah, for a second or two.
And Mr. Higgins, you saw him bob his head and then start walking toward you like a boxer might, correct?
Yes.
And then you got down, pulled the pant legs up, and you squatted down to indicate getting low, having a low center of gravity, correct?
I would note that that's indicating being silly.
And at some point, while you're being silly, you then faked a right punch toward him, correct?
I didn't notice that. So that's Brian Higgins, and that's me.
Unfortunately, the Village People's version of YMCA was too expensive for the cheap owners of this channel to pay for. But on a recommendation from Miss Judy, the Oriental YouTube lawyer, we were able to get this version.
You see what you just did? What did you do when you slapped his right arm?
What did I do?
What did you do? What are you doing?
It looks like I'm just being silly, fooling around.
Why are you grabbing him from behind?
I don't really know.
Is that a wrestling hold?
No.
Is that some sort of a control hold that you've used in the past?
Bear hugging somebody? No.
Okay.
That's just a silly fooling around with my buddy.
Stop it. Do you see what Mr. Higgins just did?
I don't know. He did some kind of, I don't know, he pretended to knee me or something.
Knee to the abdomen?
Yeah, I don't know if it made contact or not, but
That he's playing like or practicing like techniques in fighting.
I don't know what his intent was. It looks like he's just fooling around.
It's very likely Higgy Bear never told Brian Albert that he was obsessed and in love with Karen Reed after 9 full days of sexting.
What do you want, Karen? You looked great tonight. Defendant said, what do you want ideally, ? I responded, the real deal. Why would I have thought you had any interest in me, ? What's your end game? What do you want from me? You don't think if I came over for a drink, we would have gotten carried away?
If a grown man walks up to you, grabs you from behind, and puts a knee up to your solar plexus, that's probably not the same as a high five.
Obviously, it's not a high five. It's called a low 2.
What is your question?
In other words, it looks like he's practicing some sort of fighting technique.
Practicing? That's not how I see that.
How would you describe it?
I would just describe it as him fooling around. We're in the bar together. We're good friends. And we're just being silly and fooling. That's all.
You see anybody else in that video at any time getting physical with one another?
That's an amazing question because in Alan's mind, he didn't know that there was video of someone getting into a real fight with real physical contact.
Your memory of that night, who are the only 2 people in the bar that seem to be getting physical with one another?
The only person I remember being physical with was fooling around with Brian.
Except for the fact Brian Albert definitely knows somewhere on the video is Chris Albert holding Higgy Bear back while he's threatening John O'Keefe. Look at Higgy there. Come out and fight. Yeah, come out and fight. Outside. And this big boy was relentless. He wanted John O'Keefe badly.
Did you see the rest of that video?
Yes.
No question that you 2 are being friendly with one another.
Yes.
There's also no question that of all the people in that bar, the only 2 people that appear to be imitating fighting are you and Mr. Higgins.
Because Alan and his team completely missed the real fighting, the real conflict, the real physical contact, he's thinking his question is cute. He knows that Brian Albert most likely is going to say they were the only 2 practice fighting.
Correct?
In that video, yes.
Wow, and listen to that response. He knows somewhere in the video, whether he saw it or not, there has to be physical contact between Chris Albert and Brian Higgins.
Is there another video?
Well, no, I just don't know what everybody else was doing in the bar.
And this is why your witnesses must answer the question that's posed to them. He should have answered yes or no, but he tipped everyone off. Perhaps there is another video where someone's getting physical.
Remember anybody else? Julie Albert or
I don't remember.
Nicole getting into a scrap with someone?
Instead of listening and hearing the fact that Brian Albert is admitting somewhere on the video is someone really fighting, he tried to get in that cute response.
No.
Just you two, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Albert, this is minutes before everybody headed to your house at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes.
Including John O'Keefe.
Yes.
They're going to try to slut her up, right?
Yes.
She's just a slutty girl that's a drunk and a slut and a whore and cheating on John or whatever. When John and Karen walked into the bar, Brian Higgins was not expecting them. He texts Karen surreptitiously with John.
Well,
And she didn't respond.
Well,
Look how off the entire team was. That response was done after Higgy Bear tried everything he could to get her attention, including getting humped by Brian Albert.
you're not even going to say hi to me?
like he's got a motive to not like John, trying to just vilify her and make her look like a vixen of sorts. What it did is created a very, very clear motive for Brian Higgins to visit harm on John O'Keefe.
Nice dissolve.
Brian Albert and Brian Higgins told investigators that once the party broke up, they didn't speak to anybody over the phone. But each of them was confronted with the fact that Albert called Higgins, and then Higgins called Albert back, and they spoke for 22 seconds.
And this was an amazing job by this paisan and the rest of Karen's team. We know that the Bryans tried so hard to conceal and destroy all phone communication between them because at 2:22 in the morning, we have documented evidence that they were contacting and communicating with each other.
At 2:22 in the morning.
What the hell is Brian Albert doing calling Brian Higgins at 2:22 in the morning?
Another nice dissolve.
One thing I can't reconcile is the idea of this sort of back and forth butt dial that Brian Albert butt dials Brian Higgins, who says he has no recollection of the call, and then Higgins calls him back. The way I understand it, they're both saying that those were butt dials.
The butt dials are hard to believe. I don't know what they were interacting about, and I don't know why they would be lying about it being a butt dial.
How does he not know why they would be lying about calling each other at 2:22 in the morning? If there's any doubt why they were communicating with each other, you can look to the 9 days of sexting, then the ignoring of Higgy at the waterfall, then the threatening of John O'Keefe at the waterfall on video.
Yes, I said, are you coming here? Followed by 3 question marks.
And as if there's any doubt as to why they were trying to conceal those calls, we now look to 12:20 and 48 seconds to a text message from Brian Higgins to John O'Keefe demanding him to come to 34 Fairview to fight.
At 24 minutes and 37 seconds, the 3 flight climb events comes to an end. And at 24 minutes and 38 seconds is the first record that shows a speed of 0 meters per second.
And now the timeline is becoming more clear. At 12:24 and 37 seconds, the 3 flight climb event is cleared. At 12:24 and 38 seconds, 1 second later, John's phone registers 0 miles per hour. That means he's about to exit the SUV.
At 24 minutes and 59 seconds, the device is unlocked using Face ID, and the message, you coming here.
Yes, I said, are you coming here, with 3 followed by 3 question marks.
Message, you coming here, is read.
This data is very critical, and it will adjust the timeline of events. At 12:24 and 59 seconds, John's phone is unlocked with his Face ID. At 12:25 and 8 seconds, he reads the message, you coming here. And then a second later, he locks his phone. But did you notice how Higgy Bear read the text message that he sent to John O'Keefe? If you pay close attention, Higgy Bear adds, are you coming here? Which is completely different than you coming here followed by 3 question marks.
Yes, I said, are you coming here, with 3 followed by 3 question marks.
Because the latter is very aggressive. It's not, are you coming here? It's you coming here, 3 question marks to fight.
At 25 minutes and 8 seconds. At 25 minutes and 9 seconds after midnight, the device is locked using the lock button.
I don't know what they were interacting about, and I don't know why they would be lying about it being a butt dial.
I cannot believe why he's questioning the Bryans concealing their communication at 2:22 in the morning. They were either trying to cover up the murder of John O'Keefe or they were trying to cover up their secret love affair. Either way, we are not going to stop producing these videos until the real killer,
Brian Higgins,
is brought to justice. This crime was very simple to solve because it took place within a very small area over a very short period of time with a very limited amount of suspects. One or more of these 10 people has to be the killer of John O'Keefe. That's how easy this is. Once you remove the kids and the McCabe's, you're down to just 3 suspects: Brian Albert, Higgy Bear, and Chloe. Since Chloe's a good dog, she didn't do it.
I didn't do it. I'm a good dog. I didn't do it.
So that leaves just 2 suspects, Brian Albert and Higgy Bear. But of the 2 Bryans, only one had the means, motive, and opportunity to kill John O'Keefe. And that's our old cuddly but violent Higgy Bear. Once we had all the facts and didn't jump to conclusions, do you see how easy it was to solve this crime?
Around our house, we call you Sexy Stud English God.